Good morning, fourth graders. This is your lesson over the book Danza for today, Wednesday, October 7th. So let's get started. So, for the lesson, the expectation is I want you to just listen to me reading Danza to you as we make predictions and discuss some key points in the book. And then you are going to, after this video lesson over Danza, you're going to fill out the follow up work, Danza questions Google form. You're going to complete the questions that go along with the book Danza, and you're going to write complete sentences, and you're going to use the red sentences, the sentence starters, to start your sentences. So this is your follow-up work, and you can always reference the video lesson to listen to the book reading to complete these questions. And don't forget to use the sentence starters if you're having a hard time starting your sentence for each question. Then you click submit. Don't forget to write complete sentences, start with a capital letter, and end with a period. I will not count off for spelling. So let's get started. So you are going to listen and let's begin. Danza by Duncan Tonatiu. Award-winning author Duncan Tonatiu tells the inspirational story of dancer Amalia Hernandez, founder of Ballet Folklórico de México of Mexico. So, knowing that this book is over a person named Amalia Hernandez, do you think this book, this genre, do you think it's fiction or nonfiction? Fiction meaning a made-up story, or nonfiction meaning it is a true story. What do you think? So, Danza is going to be Danza is a nonfiction book. It's a true story. The topic, the person is Amalia Hernandez, and this is going to be her biography. A biography is someone's life story told by someone else. And this, in this case, is the author and illustrator, Duncan Tonatiu. Amalia Hernandez en el Ballet Folklórico de México. Amalia Hernandez was born in Mexico City in 1917, and everyone assumed she would grow up to be a school teacher like her mother and her grandmother. Even Ami, as everyone called her, expected that. But one afternoon, while her family was on vacation, Ami saw a pair of dancers in a town square. They stomped and swayed to the live music. The danzas that they performed had been danced by people of that area for generations. Ami was hooked. She made a decision. She was going to become a dancer herself. Ami twirled in the living room and whirled in the kitchen. Amalia, scolded her father, a stern, meaning strict, military man. But her mother encouraged Ami's interest in the arts, and one day her father gave in. So, since the father gave in, do you think the dad supports her decision to become a dancer? Do you think Amalia's dad supports her goals and dreams? Let's look at the evidence. Yes, he does, because he had a studio built in their home and hired the best dance teachers he could find. After school, Ami studied ballet with Madame Dambre, who had danced with the Paris Opera, and with Professor Sibin, who had danced with Pavlova's world-renowned Russian ballet. So her parents support her, and this is her early life. Ami worked on her technique and made sure she always pointed her feet. She perfected the different structured positions and became an accomplished ballerina. So, what character traits do you think Miss Amalia Hernandez embodies that she has if she is disciplined? She's working on her technique when she was younger. She did this to become a really accomplished ballerina. Now, I would think she is hardworking and dedicated, and she is responsible, and she is very intelligent, athletic, lot of great character traits, and very confident. Let's look at page 7. In 1939, two dancers from the United States visited Mexico City, where Ami lived. They performed a new style of dance called modern. Amalia was deeply impressed. The movements were expressive, and they could be jarring when compared with the delicate movements of ballet. Now, jarring means like different, like a shock. Like she was shocked that they were so different. Ami met Waldine, one of the modern dancers, and began to study with her. She also continued practicing ballet. Ami was very talented and disciplined. In time, she became a dance teacher and a choreographer herself. A choreographer is a person who creates dance steps and arranges them together to create new dance pieces. In 1952, so time has passed now, after rehearsing for months, Ami and other dancers gave a performance. They presented many different dances, but the one the audience clapped for the most was a piece called Sones de Michoacán. Ami was the choreographer, and the dance was similar to the regional danza that she had seen in the town square when she was a little girl. Ami had an idea. She decided that she would create ballets based on the folkloric danzas from the different regions of Mexico. She was so excited that she formed her own company with 7 other dancers. So we're going to pause right here. If she created her own dance company, meaning she's going to audition and hire other dancers, and she's going to be the one that's going to lead them and come up with the dance routine, what character trait do you think she has attained now? How would we describe her? Describe her. So I think Amalia Hernandez is very strong-willed, and she is very determined and a go-getter. She's a trailblazer. Now, let's look at page 11. Ami began to travel to villages all around the country to learn as much as she could about the area's traditional dances. So if she's doing this, she loves to learn. So she is very intelligent. She read about the history of each place and talked with elders. When possible, she participated in the danzas herself. She paid special attention to the steps, the music, and the outfits the people wore. So she was very detail oriented and organized. Other words to describe Amalia Hernandez. After returning home, Ami would go to the dance studio. The danzas y bailes she saw in the villages were for ceremonial purposes, like celebrating a patron saint or hoping for a good harvest. Other times, the dances happened so people could have fun and meet new friends. However, the dance pieces Ami was creating were meant to be performances for audiences to watch in a theater. Amy used her skills as a choreographer and her knowledge of both ballet and modern dance to make the pieces innovative, meaning new, and beautiful. She made sure the dancers wore dazzling costumes. And there was dramatic lighting and spectacular backdrops. So they're on stage, and this is in a theater. This is the company that she founded and created. Audiences loved the folkloric ballets, and Amalia's dance company quickly became very famous. In 1954, they performed on the Función de Gala television show. They danced on the show every week for more than 60 weeks. The company grew to include 20 dancers, and then 50. The company's repertoire, or stock of dancers, meaning the people, included the dance moves, like the routines, included ballets based on mestizo bailes, like the sones harachas from Veracruz. Mestizo is the combination of our our Amerindian, European, and African traditions. In this ballet, musicians dressed in white played the harp and guitars as the dancers stomped on a tarima. It's basically like a piece of wood. Ooh, that word was a tongue twister. It was Amerindian. The company's repertoire also included ballets based on indigenous danzas, like La Danza del Venado, meaning the dance of the deer, from the Yaqui in the Sonoran Desert, and Los Quetzales from the Nahuas and the Tononaco people in the Valley of Mexico. Ooh, some of these Spanish words are tongue twisters for me. So once again, these dances are unique to Mexico. Some of the company's ballets were not based on traditional dances, but were original pieces inspired by Mexico's pre-Columbian past. Ami wanted to celebrate the history of her country. She looked at these sculptures and art that ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and the Maya had created. She conceived dance steps for ballets like La Gran Tenochtitlan based on that art. So, why do you think this illustration on page 18 and 19 is very important? What is the author and illustrator Duncan trying to show on these two pages? So once again, he illustrated these images because Amalia wanted to celebrate her country's history. So these illustrations are similar to the sculptures and the art that the ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and the Maya had created. Some ballets were inspired by more recent history and by music like the polka and the waltz, which were popular with the wealthy in the 19th century, or by corridos, which were popular with the poor at the beginning of the 20th century. Ami would often dance as Juana Gallo, a fierce female soldier of that time period. The company became a great success not only in Mexico but abroad too. In 1959, the Mexican government asked it to represent Mexico in the Pan American Games. These games are similar to the Olympics, but only athletes from the Americas compete. It was a great honor to be part of such an important event. That year, Ami decided to call the company El Ballet Folclórico de México, Mexico's folkloric ballet. The company became truly international in 1961 when it won the first prize at the prestigious Festival of the Nations in Paris. Famous ballets and important dance troupes from all over the world competed at that event. After the folkloric ballet won, it was invited to tour in Europe. Later on, it visited Japan and Australia. The dancers even performed next to the Great Sphinx in Egypt. To be touring the world was exciting for Ami, but it was not simple to arrange. The company needed transportation for 50 or so dancers, musicians, and sound and lighting, JK, take two, and lighting technicians, and more than 3 tons of costumes. Ami decided to stop dancing so she could focus on her choreography and directing the company. She was now like a general, much like her military father, supervising all the different people involved in the folkloric ballet and making sure the shows came out perfectly. So, Amalia is very similar to her father when she was an adult because she had to supervise all the different people in the ballet company, making sure it was perfect. The company had so many engagements that Ami had to create 2 groups, one to travel around the world and one to offer performances in Mexico. In 1968, Ami opened a dance school. Her brother, who was an architect, designed the building, which housed studios and classrooms. At the school, students could learn folkloric dance and also ballet and modern dance. Often the dancers who studied at the school became professionals in Amalia's company. As the years passed, Ami continued teaching and supervising the folkloric ballet's rehearsals. She had become a school teacher after all, like her mother and her grandmother. Amalia Hernandez passed away on November 5th in the year 2000, but her legacy lives on. El Ballet Folclórico de México performs every Wednesday and Saturday at the Palacio de Bellas Artes, the Palace of Fine Arts, in Mexico City. They have been doing so without interruption for more than 50 years. The company also continues to tour internationally, meaning around the world. Today, there are thousands of Mexican folkloric dance groups, both professional and amateur, in Mexico and the United States. Perhaps you've seen one perform at your school or in your neighborhood for Cinco de Mayo. Maybe you've seen them dressed as a charro and dance El Jarabe Tapatio. So sorry. I know I have. Ami inspired generations of dancers to perform these danzas. She made the folkloric dances of Mexico known around the world, and she encouraged people of Mexican origin to feel pride in their roots and in their traditional dances. So, that was danza. Now, my question to you is, was the author's intention to the reader to persuade or inform? We had a lot of facts about Amalia Hernandez. So the author's purpose is not to persuade. He was not convincing us of anything or trying to get us to try something or buy something or to change our mind on a certain thing. So the author's purpose was to inform, informing us, the reader, on Amalia's life story, her biography, and why she's important. Now, why is she important? Don't forget to look at page 29 right here. I'll just go back and look at this video and pause here, and this is why she's important. And then don't forget to complete the follow-up work, Danza question. I want you to also think, how are you and Amalia the same? And how are y'all different? And what did you learn about today? I want you to ask yourselves these questions because you're going to be answering them in the follow-up work. So that was your lesson, fourth graders. So now go to the next activity and complete the follow-up work, the Google questions on the form.